A lot of students looking to build things with DID, a lot of students focusing on data ownership. But in addition to that, then I focused on DAOs and, educating the students on DAOs and really going deep down the rabbit hole. I've been building in the Polkadot ecosystem for over 2 years now. Dot was actually the first blockchain cryptocurrency that I ever discovered, and I discovered it and fell in love with it for the tech. And after, I guess, getting pink pilled a little bit over 2.5 years ago and just falling in love with all the potential, what can be built with Substrate, with Polkadot, and I've just been here building ever since. I have a background working in the U.S. government, so I used to work in government and politics, which was fun. I thought, I really wanted to change the world and have this big impact and help make people's lives better, but I'm impatient. And the political world is full of a lot of red tape, and it moves very slow, and it's very frustrating, which is, again, just another reason why I fell in love with Web3, because especially in Polkadot, we have the tools to make change, to change entire global systems, and we don't even need anyone's permission to do it. Polkadot is designed for the future more than any other Web3 tech stack that I have ever encountered. From the ability to fine-tune your blockchain with things such as, customize gas fees or maybe even gasless transactions, custom staking protocols, or maybe you don't even need a staking protocol. Those things are always very attractive, but my thesis is in a multi-chain or omni-chain thesis, this vision where we're going to have a bunch of different Polkadots, on a board. There's going to be all of these different chains and all of these different ecosystems, no matter what, just like different coding languages. You'll have people who love Rust, they hate JavaScript, and they will, there's always these preferences and things that you can do with one that you can't do with the other. So there's a reason for JavaScript, there's a reason for Rust. And so I believe that that's the same thing that we'll see with blockchain, with different ecosystems. And so typically, if you were to choose to build on Ethereum or Cosmos or Avalanche, you're really choosing where to confine yourself to. And that may be fine for some people, but for us, what we're building, we are looking to contribute global protocols to this new iteration of the internet. And by building on Polkadot, it allows us essentially to build everywhere. And that's a very unique thing that's not possible anywhere else. It is the foundational layer zero, this underworking infrastructure plumbing that brings all of the protocols, all these applications together under one environment, which then creates this new internet. And it's very important that we build out this internet because it does more, so much more than just, it gives you control over your assets, your finances. Indisputably, that's very important. And it's very important that, we have this data preservation. People are able to, even have anonymity, it's basically ownership over assets, whether that's financial or data, but it goes so much deeper than that. There are ways that as a society, as a species, we're able to govern ourselves, we're able to cooperate, work together, build things together, and generate wealth together, distribute that wealth fairly across contributors, using systems that otherwise aren't, they're not possible. Not without a high degree of trust, which usually leads to corruption. In today's world, on the current version of the internet, everything is closed off behind walls. You don't actually know what's going on. You trust every little thing, and every little thing that you do, there's always some third-party entity taking a big slice of the pie, even though it's really you that's building out all these solutions, these systems, and everything. And so, with Web3, whether it's things such as DeFi or DAOs, so decentralized governance over these protocols, over these systems, over networks. This to me it's more than just the next iteration of the internet. It's the next iteration of human governance. It's the next iteration of human cooperation. Yes, the next iteration of finance. And so it's really important that we build this out, because otherwise, the world is broken. The world's very broken, and the people that we expect to fix it are the very same people who are in charge of the broken world and benefit from it today. I think it's not unpopular opinion that the world is not on a good track. And I truly believe that the best way, the only way that we'll get it on the right track is when the majority of people are the ones who get to start making decisions again. To be honest, I think a lot of what I do, why I do what I do, comes from my upbringing. I grew up very poor. I grew up in a difficult home. So, I've gone Christmases without presents, whatever. Winters with no heat, no electricity, and cold water, which really kind of hurt sometimes in the winter. Um, and but I always had great friends. We're all poor together. Who cares? And we're always bold thinkers, dreamers. We're intelligent. Your financial status does not determine what you're capable of, and that's something I've always been very passionate about. And I've always wanted to make the world a better place. The world's been broken. I know the world's broken. The systems, the governments, even a lot of family homes are broken. And there's a lot of great people out there, people with world-changing ideas that they never get the chance. All of that great potential, those great minds, those well-intended individuals, they never get the opportunity to have an impact on the world. And that really troubles me. And it's something that I want to change. That's why I wanted to get into politics. And I also don't want people to feel like they don't have a voice or like that's it, that's their life and accept it. I want people to feel like anyone who has a great idea, anyone who can contribute and make a difference, I want them to know that they can do that. I want them to have the tools to contribute to these systems, to change their lives, to change other people's lives, and to make a world a better place. There should always be a place in the world where everyone can feel welcomed, can come and contribute to that system, but have control over that system. And I think it's ironic that, hundreds of years have gone towards the formation, towards an idea of a country. This nation, America, United States, grew to become at one point, this huge beacon of hope and opportunity where everyone has these rights and this control over their daily lives. And yet within that very country, there are all of these, companies and corporations, for better or for worse, whether they mean well or they meant well. And then the next thing you know, we're living in this free society. But again, a majority of our lives are spent on our phones, on social media. And so a lot of our lives are controlled by these big platforms. And we think that, we're just carelessly on here watching videos. Who cares? Oh yeah, liking posts. But really, we're being farmed. We're glued to our phones, glued to our devices, glued to social media, using these things because the more we use them, the more of our information gets harvested and the more of it gets sold and the more the other guys make a lot of money. And the problem here is not only are they making a lot of money, they're really controlling our lives, our perception of the world around us. They ultimately decide what content we get to see. And they ultimately, they have a much larger impact nowadays than I might even argue than the king or the queen did in Britain, all those years ago. And yet people are complacent and they're fine with that. But if you want to make a change, you have absolutely no path forward to do so. So it's almost like we took a step forward and then we took a step back. It might not be a king or a queen that is telling us what we can or cannot do or can or cannot see. Instead, it's just companies. And the reality is that, the world, I would say over 99% of all actions are good, great, positive actions. Less than 1% are horrible, bad actions. And yet, if you go on social media, give that algorithm a little bit of time, and all you're going to find is the most controversial, pessimistic, depressing content imaginable. Why? Because it keeps you coming back. It keeps you glued. There's something with our brains where we keep doing that. And right now, it might seem like kind of a quiet revolution, and I think the real noise will come from the numbers of people who wake up and the number of people who start to adopt Web3 solutions. And heck, they might, you can still love to use social media, be on there, but be on a platform where you take control of your data. I think this is very important because it's going to be, in the end, the world, I think, will be perceived as a more positive place. Less division will be sowed between societies. People will make a little bit more money for themselves. But ultimately, everyone gets to take back control because right now it's a quiet war that we're losing where, their perception and their control over their daily lives is being stripped away from them and they don't even realize it. I think that the best thing is to have that power back in control of the people. And if you ask them, it's never going to happen. But if you build something they can't stop, what are they going to do about it? What really excites me about Web3 is governance, control over the applications, the services, the digital, organizations and businesses that we're using or that we're a part of. So like today, let's say, everyone's they're using Facebook. If a bunch of people have a problem with the platform, they don't have a pathway to make change. They can get loud over social media, but that doesn't exactly, like, there's no guarantee that that will equate to anything. If there's a business or an organization that you are a member of, that you contribute to, that you put your time and your energy into, it doesn't matter. It could be you and every one of your peers. And I mean, you all hate the way things are going. You all know that it's going a bad way. In today's world, it sucks to be you, But with Web3, you are given a voice. You have the power to share governance, to share control, to share profits as well over these type of systems. In the traditional world, it would be too messy to facilitate this. But when you have voting power as an actual primitive, something you can track on chain, you don't need to worry about tracking all these things, facilitating this. It's all trustless. It's handled by chain by this trustless, verifiable logic. And I just think it's really fascinating because we think about how broken the world is, and why is the world broken? Because there's always this fraction, this 0.0000255% of the world has been responsible, for example, for all the wars that we've ever been into. It's actually a bit smaller of a fraction than that. And that's a very small number of people out of all humanity who have been able to make these big decisions. Take a poll right now of the globe. Who wants to be in a war? I guarantee you there's no majority that says, yeah, I want to be in one right now. And there's nothing we can do about it. But with Web3, with blockchain, we create systems that essentially siphon power from old systems to these new ones, these new systems where people do have authority. They do have a shared voice over these systems. And when they vote, you don't need to trust someone else to carry it out. When there's a majority, when there's consensus, it carries out. And we can apply this, whether it's to, big things there, of course, there's countries, but taking it smaller down to businesses, to organizations, to school boards. We can give power back to the people. And I truly believe that when everyone has a voice, when everyone feels like they have a voice, the world will be a much better place on a much happier track forward. One of the things that I find really fascinating right now with Polkadot, and of course it sets it apart from any other ecosystem, is its governance system, OpenGov. And there's many different opinions on what OpenGov should look like, the direction that it should go. And I think that just the fact that people can have all these different directions and opinions on where it should go actually really helps to define my view on there. And do I think that governance needs structure? Absolutely. I love the idea of a DAO with sub-DAOs, like departments in an organization. You have marketing, you have development, you have events, you have all these different things. And why do you have that? Because you have experts. You're able to separate things. The bandwidth of the individual right now, there's at any given moment dozens of different proposals and things going on, and it's a lot for me to keep track of. I imagine when Congress first started in the U.S. and they were trying to handle everything themselves, they were like, "This is insane." So what do? They organize. And so I want to see some organization take place within Polkadot through OpenGov. Right now, what we see is a system where, one token, one vote. And if you have a large amount of size, then democratic, but you could very much be seen as more of a dictator. But benevolent or not, you could be a good dictator or a bad one. But that is kind of like the power that you have. And of course, there's going to be a variety of opinions. I want to see more power in the people. But I think on the other side of that coin, what most people don't understand is that there's a bunch of inactive large holders out there, and even a bunch of inactive medium holders. And it just takes the right combination of a few of them to then have the largest, be the largest voting block in the system. So I think rightfully so, there's going to come frustrations through this process, controversy. And it's good. It should get people engaged. It should wake people up. Because if people care enough, ultimately they will vote. And if only, let's say, one or two entities are voting the whole time and it's not going well, then they're going to lose a lot of value. And eventually others might then feel compelled to rise up. But more than that, because I'll be honest, it's not perfect. It's what we have. It's, perfect is the enemy of good. Good enough is the enemy of humanity, of course. But we want to evolve to a system where everyone can feel a bit more included, to where it's not just the size of your bag. So should someone, they don't have a lot of money, but they know what they're talking about, they contribute to the ecosystem. Shouldn't they have some increased voting power? They should. And in the future, they'll be able to earn that. And once we evolve to that state, that's when I think, for one, more doors open, more possibilities of how governance could look, how it could work. But I do believe too, then it'll be one of those examples where those who contribute to the system get empowered, whether that's contributing directly through code, through outreach, social advocacy, through reputation, their banks, whatever. And I believe that then as a result, the system will become more built for the masses. We'll see more and more products and services that intrigue them, attract them. And then, of course, the more people that get in on the system, the more likely that we'll see an even greater number of people start to get involved in governance. And so over time, I see it evolving. I see it becoming this multifaceted organization, just like a nation that has many different focuses. But the important thing is that the right people are able to be empowered and able to have access to contribute to the system. Maybe this is the naivety in me, but as I can continue my journey of life, I realize that political drama or drama that takes that type of form, it's everywhere. Whether it's in a government building, in the office, or on chain, this drama is everywhere. And so, yeah, it gets to a certain point just as dramatic as politics, but never as frustrating. I never feel as hopeless as I did in politics. What we have here with OpenGov, it's a canvas that I can actually contribute to. I can paint a stroke across and leave my impact on. So I want to see these changes, but the cool thing is I can make them happen. At Invarch, there's two focuses. There's the foundation of what we're building, which is Omnichain accounts. It's a single non-custodial account. It's very important that it's non-custodial, that allows you to hold native assets, transact, use any DApp, any protocol across any blockchain. It doesn't matter whether that blockchain has a VM, what type of VM, no VM, it doesn't matter. This is the last account you'll ever need to access all of Web3. So whether that's for institutions managing their assets with a multi-sig, whether that's for a single individual looking for a single gateway to the entirety of the new internet, or for DAOs. You typically launch a DAO, a decentralized organization, on one network, but now they're confined to that network. That is their country. There is no international trade. But when you have an Omnichain account, you're like a first-class citizen across every network. So today, if you want to use dApps or access a chain, you need a wallet. But then if you go to a different ecosystem or a different chain, you will likely need a different account, and you may even need another wallet. So, next thing you know, your browser is full of 3 or 4 different, wallet extensions, and you're going about and you're switching between them and you're switching networks to use all these apps. That's a bit cumbersome. But with our solution, someone will one day be able to open up, whether it's their wallet, and they'll create one account, the last account that they'll ever need. Or maybe in the future, what I'm looking forward to is we reinvent that experience. You don't open your wallet to access the browser. The account is embedded directly into the browser. You just open up your browser like you're opening up Safari or Chrome or Arc browser or Brave or whatever. You open it up, and without you needing to be aware of the accounts or be aware of the chains, you can go to any DApp, any network, and just use it as if it was just one single internet. So the real solution that we're trying to solve is access. I want a regular user, I want someone's grandma to just open the browser and just use it. As far as they're concerned, it's the same exact experience as Web 2. I really believe that user adoption at scale will always be a big challenge for us. No matter how many UIs we reinvent, no matter what we do, if people have to manage and keep track of a dozen different things, that doesn't make their life easier. And I think one of the biggest goals, objectives of technology is to make people's, their lives easier. And so we'll be rolling out our solutions in phases. The end goal is, it's called a threshold signature scheme protocol, so multi-party computation. But what that just basically means is this is our piece de resistance that allows us to, the end all be all, any chain, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, whatever. We'll be rolling out across Kusama and then Polkadot first, so one single master account for the entirety of those ecosystems. And then very soon this year as well, you'll see this solution extended across Cosmos, Ethereum, and Solana. And then by early 2025, maybe sooner, but definitely by then, you'll then see this one single account solution for every blockchain, Bitcoin, Dogecoin, Hoop blockchain. Someone just launched 5 minutes ago. I don't even know what it does. You'll be good to go. As with every great endeavor, especially when you're looking to build and have an impact on the world of this scale, it's not really appropriate to cut corners. And Polkadot doesn't do that. And so when you don't cut corners, sometimes, the work that's required to get to the finish line it requires a bit more energy. You know what I mean? There's going to be some changes, like with, there's evolutions in the code base that we have to adapt to sometimes. It's also a very novel, it's been around for a little bit now, but it's still a very novel technology, very much in its nascent stage. So, keeping up with things like the documentation can be a fun challenge sometimes. But I think the big thing is that really when you are looking to have such a profound impact on the world, they always say that it's good to have a little bit of delusion. A little bit of delusion goes a long way. And when you're building these systems at this scale, sometimes, it might be a little difficult for others to always understand, the importance of making sure that you get every little detail right. A lot of them just want to hurry up, iterate, get something launched, go make a bunch of money real quick, and maybe they don't really care about the future 10, 20 years from now. So the challenges that come with building in Polkadot is that sometimes it might take a little bit more time than in other ecosystems, something that I think is changing. I think we'll be able to build faster and faster. But for now, the time that goes into things, I think that this is a good problem to have because it just means it's a problem that's a byproduct of us doing things correctly. When you're building something that can have such a profound impact on many people, you need to make sure that you're doing things correctly, or else the end result could actually be catastrophic, if you're not careful. So it's a good problem to have, I think.
Time around in Berkeley, I just gave one lecture, and it was on, I called it the 3 C's, community, capital, consistency, and really drove it home with reminding founders just to, no matter how good things get, especially the better they get, stay hungry, stay starved, don't stop chasing that.